All right, what is up, everybody? Happy Monday to you. I hope you're doing well. And in this video, this is kind of not the last video, but I want to talk about the painfully obvious problem that Michigan has that I think most people aren't even seeing, which is kind of like a little oxymoron, right? Like, this is a painfully obvious. So, yeah, I guess most people probably are seeing it, that I think led in the culmination, not only against Ohio State, but against Oklahoma and against USC, that really doomed their season, and they never truly had a chance to beat a top or even good program, if I can be completely honest. They had a soft Big Ten schedule, so we're going to get into what that problem is here in just a moment. Before we do that, let me say this. If you are new to this channel, I want to be your go-to source for Michigan football, even Michigan basketball. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you join the team here and be part of the community. Also, leave a comment. Just love even learning from you guys when you're putting stuff. I read through these comments and I'm like, man, this is a smart fan base. Really enjoy having all of you here. So let's talk about a couple of things. All right, for Michigan, this is what was painfully obvious. When it was time to take the field against the Ohio State Buckeyes on Saturday, there was simply not enough leadership, there were not enough stars, and quite frankly, freshman Bryce Underwood was not put in a position to succeed against Ohio State because of what Michigan had done all year. Now, first, we're going to give the caveat. We need to understand that injuries need to be taken into consideration when evaluating this season. Justice Haynes was hurt, out for the year after being what was the leading rusher and probably the single best running back in the country, if we're being completely honest. He was a major factor this year. All right. Then Jordan Marshall comes in, runs pretty much just as effectively, if not more effectively, if we're being completely honest. I really think those guys should split touches next year, but if they both stay, all right. But then he was hurt. And yes, he ran, I think it was 7-8 times for 61 yards, but after the first quarter, he was done. And so was our lead at that point. Max Bredesen, our captain, our super senior, was hurt. We had guys hurt on the offensive line. We had guys, what happened? What happened to our middle linebacker? I just want to say, what happened to Hausman? They're saying it's not injury related, and we still don't know what's going on. So, yes, we need to go and we need to talk about the injuries. However, freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood needed to be the guy. He was not. He did not see the field well. All right? And the nation's number one defense in Ohio knew he was all the Wolverines had. All right? And they made sure not to let it happen. But here's the problem. Underwood was not capable of leading the charge, not because he lacks talent, not because I don't even think he's a good enough quarterback, but because he hadn't been allowed to do it all season with any regularity. He was not given the license to do it much of the year. When I think about games that Bryce Underwood was allowed to sling it, when I think about games that he was allowed to throw the ball often, I think about Central Michigan. I think about Maryland. I even think a little bit about Nebraska. Outside of that, as soon as he made a normal freshman mistake, they would, oh my goodness, put the shackles back on him, and now he can't do anything. And that was so frustrating to me. That was so frustrating to me because what you knew and what you saw all year was an offense that continued to run the ball well over 60% of the time. Well over. Look, 60-40 is an understandable split in college football. It is. 65-35, which is what we do, means you don't have a quarterback. It means you are no good and you can't throw the football. It's unacceptable, if I can be completely honest. 55-45 is what makes the most sense to me. Yes, even at Michigan, you still need to throw the football. All right, against Maryland, we were a 50-50 split almost. It was 24 runs to 22 passes by the time we got such a big lead that we just started running the football. So then the split ends up looking more of that 60-40, 65-35% type of split because of what's happening. Now, with all of that being said, you still need to give him that. All right? I thought it was happening over the last few weeks. Even with the struggles at Northwestern, he was allowed to throw the ball. He came back to Maryland, and he threw it again. And you knew, here's the thing, and this is the frustration for me. They don't target Andrew Marsh. I don't even think he got a target. And I understand he was doubled all game. Great. That's why you had Donovan McCulley. And when we threw the ball to Donovan McCulley, it was successful. All right? But there was nothing we could do to figure this out. And I think, and here's the thing that I thought about going into this. All right, you got Matt Patricia, who I can't stand as a Lions fan, right? And but he calls a good defense. And you're sitting there and you're like, all right, this is going to be tricky. Young quarterback, right? Only making his 12th start. But he's going against a professional defensive coordinator, a guy from the pro ranks and Matt Patricia at Ohio State. And then I realized, you know what? Julian Sayin for Ohio State is also making his 12th start against another guy in Don Wink Martindale for the Michigan defensive coordinator that is also a pro defensive coordinator and has spent plenty of time. So both of these coaches should be able to rattle and mess with the opposing quarterback. Here's the problem. Julian Sayin has been allowed to throw the ball 25, 30 times a game with regularity. Even more than that, he's been allowed to throw the ball all year. Now, has he made as many mistakes as Bryce Underwood? No. Is he a freshman? No. But Ohio State realized what a lot of good teams realize, which is you need to have a balance. And that balance between passing and running allowed them to continue to run the ball with success against us in this game. The fact that we weren't balanced. In the first half, 5 passes to 19 runs. Okay. Sharon Moore was quoted saying, yeah, no, that was not the plan. Our plan was to be more balanced. But when the running game's working, you stick with it. Nope, false. That was a lie. We did a video yesterday about how Sharon Moore just told on himself. Right there, you just did it again. There were 2 good runs in this game, like 2 really good runs where over 60% of our yards came from on our 24 run attempts or 28 run attempts. I think it was something like that, right? And one of them was Cusdall in the second half. There was 1 good run in the first half, and there were a couple of mediocre runs. There were 16 awful runs. Like that went for 1 or 2 yards or negative yards. I'm just saying. And when you look at that, you can't sit here and be like, oh, yeah, well, it was working. No. Like, it wasn't working. It worked once. And instead of saying, you know what, we're going to let our quarterback throw the football. And we're going to be a balanced attack because this defense is way too good, way too strong, and way too fast to pin their ears back and just know that we're going to run the ball constantly, right? And we're no downfield threat. So we're just – and if we're just going to run the ball. The team was too good to do that against. Here's the problem. We never consistently let our offense throw the football throughout the year. So next year, my hope – with a much more difficult schedule, Oklahoma again, Oregon, Indiana, Penn State, all these games come before Ohio, all right? So instead of just having a couple of tricky battles with USC and Oklahoma, we have Oregon, we have Penn State, we have Indiana, we have Oklahoma. We have 4 teams that are likely going to be top 25 teams and 3 teams that are opening up the season top 10 next year in the beginning. Ohio State as well. Almost half our games are against teams that are top 25, top 10 teams. Just know that. All right. So hopefully next year we prepare, and hopefully these practices are preparing Bryce Underwood to throw the football. Hopefully in the bowl game, whether it's against Vanderbilt, whether it's against Texas, whether it's against Tennessee. Doesn't matter to me. Hopefully we throw the football. Hopefully we take these 15 practices, these bowl practices that we have, and we throw the football. All right? I would love to see a game where we throw the ball 37 times and run the ball 34. Or run the ball 30. Show me that you can do something different. Give Bryce Underwood confidence going into the offseason so that he can realize what it is. But also, let's show some NIL transfers, the portal. Let's show all these guys that, hey, you can come to Michigan. We're going to throw the football. That's the painfully obvious problem. It's time to get it fixed. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.